Hello and welcome back to the Jolly Cove podcast, the Jolly Cove book club. What do I normally say? I don't know.
I think it's podcast.
Jolly Cove.
I don't know.
Welcome back to Jolly Cove.
Yep.
It's your girl Sophie, and I've got Issa with me. I'm always awkward. I'm always awkward in these intros.
No, it's the best.
So excited to dive in. We have much to discuss. We've both been bursting at the seams to talk about this book / also the movie adaptation of One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. What a journey we have been on.
What a journey. Oh, gosh.
We're going to get all into it. First, though, we need to do our jolly drinks, do our life updates, all the things that we normally do before we dive in. So, Issa, what are you drinking tonight?
My jolly drink is very unlike me.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Diet Coke. But I put it in this cutie glass, so it's a little more aesthetic.
Oh, that's cute.
But I would never pop a Diet Coke, especially not in my household. That's like our rule. We don't buy Diet Cokes in the house. We don't do that. We only consume Diet Coke on special occasion outside the home.
Yeah.
But
I'm the same way.
I gave myself an excuse because in the book, they like Diet Coke is a thing. And it has a lot of meaning, and it's like a symbol of her life before with Jesse. Don't want to get too much into it, but it's definitely like a little emotional anchor, so I thought I would bring it back. It's themed, right?
Love that.
My jolly drinks are never themed, so I had to go
It's so
out.
on theme. That's really cute. I love that. And I'm glad that you pulled through with a theme drink because I've got the most boring jolly drink that I've ever come on here with, and that's ice cold water with lemon. And it might be boring, but it's just like
It's giving
what I
health is
need.
wealth, and the opposite
Exactly.
of a Diet Coke. Somebody had to bring that today.
Our actual opposites today. I just ate like such a big early dinner, and I was like bursting at the seams, and I was like, you know what? I cannot. Like, I'm either gonna have a tea or a water because I just need to like cleanse my system, and I was thirsty. Also, just like ice cold water in general has been such a big craving for me. So is citrus. So like lemon, lime, all the oranges, grapefruit. I'm obsessed with right now. So you can't go wrong. Also, this is specific ice. This is Chick-fil-A ice. PSA, if you don't know, you can buy Chick-fil-A ice from the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Just say I would like a bag of ice. It's like $2 or $3 and you get a gigantic bag. And I do that like every couple weeks. It's so good.
Know that I was this close to going to a Chick-fil-A drive-thru today just for the ice so that I would have that ice for this Diet Coke.
Stop.
But I was like, that's a little ridiculous. No, I didn't have time after work. I was like, I'm not about to drive. Because Chick-fil-A also, there's not one that close. Like, they put one, I guess it's like 15 minutes away now. Yeah. But at rush hour, no. I wasn't going to do it.
No.
So okay, I just settled for my, like, ginormous ice from those ice trays from Amazon.
But there's nothing like the good little nugget ice from Chick-fil-A. It's so perfect.
It's true.
By the way, another PSA. I will be huffing and puffing because we're getting more and more pregnant over here. Leads me into my life update. I have a bump now. That's my biggest life update. I just showed Issa the bump and she was like, whoa, it's like actually there.
The scream I scrummed when you stood up. It's huge. No, it is so cute. It's so cute. But it's like, you know, you don't like, I don't see you in person that much.
Yeah.
I don't live in Orlando anymore. Yeah. So I'm not like
sad.
Seeing it gradually update. The last time I saw you, there was nothing. And now.
The thing is though, like it hasn't been that gradual. It kind of was like pop, like literally probably started like 16 and a half weeks. I was like, okay, I'm starting to definitely like, there's something going on. And then like 17 weeks hit and I was like, okay, I've fully got a bump. There's no hiding this. And now even when I go out in public, I'm like, people know I'm pregnant. This is crazy. I mean, at least I hope that they think I'm pregnant. They don't just think I have like a gigantic belly, you know?
No, they definitely know. It's all cute and round.
No one has said anything yet in public, but I also don't really, like I'm always wearing like flowy, you know, nothing tight. Yeah. So, anyway, got any life updates you'd like to share?
A life update? Oh, I hosted a Galentine's tea at my house. I had this like vision last year because my mom has been like collecting pink glass, the depression glass for me since a while now. And I have a whole collection of antique pink glass, right? And I have it in my house in a little glass cabinet. So I was like, oh my gosh, I want to have a Valentine's tea and I'm going to use all my pink glass. So I texted some of my friends and I was like, this is like a year ago. And I was like, put this date on your calendar because I'm going to have a Valentine's tea at my house. And so I didn't even use the pink glass because I bought a runner and like I've been collecting things and thrifting things for the setup, the tablescape. And it just like the runner with the placemats that I had with the pink glass, it was like all kind of clashing and looked kind of crazy. It wasn't giving Talia. I don't know if you follow her or, oh my gosh, she's like
Talia Hubble.
I ever dreamed to be. Yes, Talia Hubble. She is my queen that I aspire to be in the homemaking space. And I don't know, she puts everything together and it looks so effortless and it looks like it could be an anthropology display. So I had a lot of things, but at the end I ended up using totally a different set, but it's fine. It ended up looking so cute.
Oh, I want to see pictures. Did you post this? I didn't see it.
No, I haven't posted anything yet. I'll send it to you. But it was adorable, and I had like a 3-tier stand that I use. And my mom came, and she was the biggest help ever. She used to like take me to the Ritz-Carlton when I was little. Every year we'd go to the Easter tea and the bunny would come out and it's just like, and Christmas and Santa, and it was the best memory ever. So we tried to recreate, and so I made like the little dill cucumber sandwiches, and we made a bunch of little different tea sandwiches, and then everyone brought different pastries and stuff they had made. It turned out so good. So that's my update.
That sounds amazing.
With the mostest.
I'm obsessed with that. There's nothing I love more than like a high tea vibe, and I think that's what I'm gonna do for my baby shower. I think
I love that.
I'm gonna float the idea to all my ladies who are like taking over baby shower duties and be like, what do we think? And I think they're gonna love it because they also love a little tea party.
Iconic.
Have you read anything else since this book?
I finished Winter Stroll. Done.
Oh my gosh, of course.
I am on to Winter Solstice. I'm starting that tomorrow. Amazing. And then I'll be done with the series, and I'm really proud of myself. That is extracurricular reading recommended by you.
I love it.
I never thought we'd get to this day.
I'm so happy that you have like enjoyed the series so much because you just never know. But I'm just so grateful that you're also such an Ellen Hildebrand stan because
oh my gosh,
she's just the best.
What do they call it?
Hilder Babe.
Hilder Babe. Oh my god, that's so cute. I'm a Hilder Babe. I think it's helped a lot that I now walk a ton with Iggy, and so I'm able to like listen on my walks. That helps with all the reading.
There's nothing better than just like always having an audiobook to pop on whenever you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah. And I've been going on the train so much and doing a lot of traveling. So all the time on planes and trains and cars. It's so nice to have something to pop in.
That's perfect. I have a little Onyx Storm update, which is that I DNF'd this book. I could not continue.
They're going to come for you.
I got like 10 or 12 chapters in, and I was like, it's just not for me. It's not for me. I tried. And some people were saying, like, once you get past chapter 10, like, everything starts to click and you'll get really into it. It didn't. Nothing clicked. I wasn't into it. So, if anything, I was like, this is so unbearable to listen to. Also, I don't know, maybe if I read it on my Kindle, I think I would be even in a worse spot because it would be harder for me to, like, it would just feel like I was wasting more time if I was reading it on my Kindle than just listening to it going about my day. But the voices on the audiobook they just sound so aggressive. Like Violet is so just like, she just sounds angry and like it just was stressing me out, just constantly having to listen to her voice in my head. I'm just like, I can't do this anymore.
The voices are aggressive.
So,
that's true though. We know this, that like the voices in an audio book can make or break the experience.
Yeah. But I understand why that's just like her vibe, and she's literally everything is life or death and everything's so intense for them. So like I understand why the actor's like putting on that crazy intense voice, but I just don't like it. I don't like it. And also, I thought Onyx Storm, for some reason, I thought it was the last book in the series. So I was like, let me just finish the series, done and dusted, then I have at least read a series. But then I found out there's going to be at least 2 more books. So I'm like, no, this is where I tap out. So anyway, that's my sad reading up. It's kind of sad reading update. I have no regrets, but...
No regrets.
But I had to let the people know because I was hoping and planning on giving my Onyx Storm thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Okay. Other than that, I'm reading my silly little Sophie Kinsella books that I'm obsessed with. I started reading Shopaholic and Baby, which is obviously part of the Shopaholic series.
Oh, okay.
I think there's 10 books total in the series. This is probably like book 6 or something. Maybe 7, maybe 5 or 6. Anyway, it's cute because it's like Becky going through her little pregnancy journey, and as I am. So it's like a fun little
Had you read that one before?
No, I actually got to this point in the series and then I stopped because I was like, I really want to read this. And we're trying to get pregnant. So I was like, I kind of want to hold off on reading this book till I am actually pregnant.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I finally started it a few weeks ago. And I'm like very slowly getting through it because it's just on my Kindle every night. So I'll read for like 15, 20 minutes before bed. And it's very enjoyable.
I love.
Yeah.
I need to get into that because I feel like you speak so highly about that series. And I like comfort books. Like, it's nice.
I would love to see what you think of some of her books. I can recommend like other books that aren't in the Shopaholic series because they all have like a similar fun, silly vibe, but there's also like really good, funny drama. Like, there's nothing like super stressful that happens in her books, which I like. Okay. Are we ready to dive in to One True Loves?
We are ready.
Okay. So, I think I need to like put out a little statement on our Jolly Cove Instagram being like, it is mandatory that everybody also watch the movie.
Mandatory
before you listen to this episode because we're going to talk so much about the movie because we're not going to be able to help ourselves. Like, it was just, they gave us a lot to talk about.
So much content.
Yeah. So I imagine that as we'll try to like talk about the book and movie separately a little bit, but I'm sure we'll just like be weaving and bopping through both of them. And then at the end of the discussion, we can like get all the rest of our thoughts out about the movie if we have any more left over. Sound good?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so quick overall brief thoughts on the book and then also the movie. But like, yeah, you can do them both or you can do the book first and then whatever.
Wait, no, I need to hear your thoughts first.
Okay.
Please, you go first. You go first.
My overall thoughts on the book. Like, I enjoyed the book. I was not as emotionally enthralled and invested and connected as I thought I was going to be based on other people's reviews and just like how highly everyone spoke about this book. And like pretty much everyone I follow on Goodreads gave this book 5 stars. So I thought it was going to be like tear your heart out, I'm sobbing type of book, which I did not. I didn't shed one tear throughout this whole book. I know, crazy for me, especially being a pregnant lady.
For you.
With the hormones raging. I was just like I just felt so disconnected from Emma Blair Lerner. I just can't with her. Like, okay. This is supposed to be brief overall thoughts. I felt very disconnected from the characters, specifically our leading lady. And I guess that's my thoughts. Like, it didn't hit as hard for me emotionally as I was expecting it to. So it was like slightly disappointing. I also feel like the writing was just like so overly dramatic and the metaphors were just like so intense. Okay, we can get into it in a little bit later because I'm just going to get really into the weeds here if I go into like specific metaphors that they used. But yeah, all that being said, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a page turner. I didn't want to stop listening to it, but I was listening to it almost in like not like, oh my gosh, I'm eating this up. Like, what's going to happen? Like, I'm loving these people and these characters and I can't wait to find out. And like, I care. It was just kind of more of like what are these people doing? Like, how could she possibly get herself out of this mess? The kind of thing.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Okay, please tell me your thoughts. That's my thoughts on the book.
Yes. I'm honestly kind of shocked. I'm shocked.
Okay.
Because I I closed this book and I was like 5 stars. Like loved, obsessed.
I'm so happy for you.
I sobbed in the shower. Sobbed.
Whoa.
Yeah, like I was unwell.
Oh my gosh. I'm so jealous.
Deeply
That's what I wanted.
connected. Deeply connected.
That's so crazy.
Like it made me sad to end it and think, wow, I'm never going to read it again for the first time.
Isa, I'm so happy that you had that experience. That's what I thought I was going to have.
An insane experience with it. I love the way.
This is a me problem for sure. It's a hormones or something
Maybe.
that's just like off. Because that's what I thought, and I don't know. Anyway, I'll let you continue.
No, well, I love the way that the author described everything, which is what you said you didn't like. Like the metaphors, like the symbolism. I was living and breathing. I was eating it up. Like it was everything. I love the really like beautifully drawn out language. I felt like the book really captures like how grief is super heartbreaking, but also can be really beautiful. And I think there was a lot of scenes where she's dealing with the grief and they describe everything. And I put a note, like this reminded me so much of the scene in New Moon when Bella gets left by Edward and she's sitting in the chair and she's staring out the window and you see the seasons changing around her and she's just like hollow shell of herself, disconnected from the world. It was giving that. Like and I loved how she described everything because it also showed like there's such a complexity with human beings that we can feel like so deeply sad, but also be super excited about the future, or like super devastated, but also hopeful. And so I thought the book captured how we can feel many things at once. And that's just part of the human experience. And I love that. I've never seen it captured such a crazy, like vivid way.
That is so true. I like agree with everything you're saying. I think that it was painted that way, and like I agree with how you experienced it. For some reason, just the emotions didn't hit for me, and I don't know if it was the writing style. I don't know, but the whole time I was just like,
I kept trying to put myself in her shoes, and I was like, okay, like if my husband died, and then I had to move on like 3 to 4 years later, and I'm in another relationship, then he comes back into my life, like. And it's supposed to be the happiest day of your life when he's found from being in a shipwreck, basically, like Survivor. And then now it's like you're devastated because you have another, like how dynamic those emotions must be, you know?
Yeah.
So it made me like sob. I was just like, what a tough situation. It was heartbreaking. Yeah. But also so beautiful.
It was so heartbreaking. I think part of it for me was when she was getting to know Sam again and they like went on their date. Like I just like couldn't connect to their banter. I did not like it.
That was my favorite part. I was like, the date was giving like such a real date. Like I've never had a book where the banter feels like legit. Like it doesn't feel cringy. So, what? Are you good?
Were they playing piano on the countertop for like 6,000 pages? I could not. I'm like, please can we stop with the fake piano?
It was, oh my God, so, I can't. Maybe he's just a hater. It was
I'm
so
definitely a hater.
I was like, when they go for the ice cream and they're walking, like, I was just like, these are real conversations when he's talking about his ex-girlfriend.
When she's eating a burger. And she's like, really? It's perfect even though I'm eating a burger? And he's like, yeah, you're beautiful no matter what. And I'm just like, this is so dumb. Like, I don't know. I couldn't.
I can't. You're in your hater era.
I'm so sorry. This is so funny, though. I feel like we've never, like, been so opposed.
No, I feel like we're aligned.
Yeah, we're usually very much aligned.
Yeah. This is funny.
But you're definitely in the majority here because I don't know, like, everyone I saw ever talk about this book, I was obsessed with it. And
this
so maybe
is why
I
I
just
wish
had
we
really,
had
really...
comments. Like, comment down
Yeah.
below because I need to know.
Well, on YouTube, they can.
Can we do a poll or something?
If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this, you can hop over to YouTube. Leave a little
Please.
comment what you thought about this book. Cannot wait to hear what other people thought. Although I'm sure everyone loved it because that's just like the consensus. Not that I didn't love it. Again, like it wasn't like I was reading this and hating it. I just was not emotionally invested.
Connected.
Also, I'm not the biggest fan of like high school. So, I don't want to say like high school sweetheart or like high school second chance romance. Like, I don't know. It just like is a little boring to me. It's like, oh, he was her best friend in high school, and then they get back together. It's kind of like just a little convenient. It's like he was just there, you know? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay.
Thoughts on the movie.
Thoughts on the movie. Yeah. You go first.
It was horrible. It was
horrible.
awful. It was the worst. I literally was cackling at how bad it was, and it made me angry.
Yeah,
I was
same.
like, what a waste. Because I know for Evelyn Hugo, they're going to do a masterpiece. It's going to be
better.
in the movie theater. So why couldn't we get that type of attention? Like, this is a Hulu film. It's not a Hallmark film. Why is it giving Hallmark on Hulu?
It was giving Hallmark on Hulu.
How are there like A-listers in this movie, and how did they agree to this? I was like,
Wait, who's the A-lister?
I think his name is Sim Lu. He's like an Avenger. The guy that plays Sam.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And also the guy that plays Jesse is also I recognize him. He's
I did not recognize a single face that I saw in that movie. Here's my thing. If you don't have the budget to make the movie even decent, then just like don't do it. Just wait. Just wait for the budget.
Sophie texts me. I swear, we don't talk about the movies or the books because we talk about it all on here raw, unfiltered.
We save it for the podcast. But I could not help myself last night.
Texted me last night a photo of the TV, and it was like, did they really buy their backgrounds from Hobby Lobby?
I said not the Hobby Lobby foliage behind her.
Like the foliage was so
I'm
bad.
showing YouTube. You can just tell it's like one long piece of garland, like of fake leaves. It was so ridiculous. Me and Josh were crying, laughing, looking at that foliage. I made Josh watch a little bit of it with me, and then he was like, nah.
Oh my god. It was.
But
I can't believe you made him watch that disaster.
The most shocking part is that Taylor Jenkins Reid did the screenplay for this. Like,
I
her
saw
and her-
that at
yeah.
the end when her name came up. I was like, "No, girl,
No.
no."
I was like trying to look up like interviews that she did after the movie to like see, were you proud of this? Like, are you happy with how it turned out? And I couldn't find anything.
Obviously,
but obviously
she's
she
not gonna-
must be. She wrote it.
There's no way she's proud of that.
She was
There's
involved.
No way.
was
They
heavily
made her
involved.
think otherwise. They made her think it was going to be something else. That's the only way that I'll be able to sleep at night. And then she saw it and agreed to some contract and couldn't open her mouth about it.
It makes me
has
nervous
to be that.
for. But who bought the rights to Evelyn Hugo? Because it needs to, like, hopefully not Hulu.
That's the brief overview, folks. Get ready.
Get ready because we have line by line notes. We were saying I have more notes on the movie than I do for like the book. And I was halfway through the movie and I'm like, I already have more notes than I do for the whole book because I was just.
I literally the minute that I saw that travel montage of them like in Madrid and at the Chinese like market, I pulled out my notes app and I just sat there like this. And I never once put my phone down for the rest of the movie. I just took angry notes, like aggressively. And it just went on and on and on.
It's so funny. Oh,
I was
my
giving
gosh.
film critic. It was something.
So
I felt like that guy in Ratatouille that goes to try the food. I was like,
I had the same experience. I'm glad we're at least aligned on our thoughts about the movie because I had the same exact feeling That is so funny.
I made my mom watch it with me, and I had told her to read the book, but she didn't have time to read it. And then I was like, we'll still watch the movie with me, whatever, we're here. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. And she goes, this makes me not want to read the book. I was like, no, Mom, the book is a masterpiece.
Oh, no. Do we want to do dream casting, even though?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
because my dream casting was so good. Okay. And they just messed it up so bad.
I like my casting, too, but it's a little out there, I think.
Who did you put?
Okay, for Emma. Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, none of my people are age appropriate. But, like, we have to, like, age up, age down, okay? Just imagine them at their correct age. For Emma, I have Anne Hathaway.
Cute. Ooh, cute.
I feel like she could do a cute little, like, blonde pixie cut, which we didn't get in this low-budget movie. But we needed it.
Couldn't even get the hair color correct.
It was, like, a main character in the book was her haircut. And that was weird that they didn't do that. Anyway, Anne Hathaway for Emma. For Jessie. Oh, no, you tell me your Emma.
Okay. Mine was Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, that's really good.
Because I felt she was giving that awkward, like, likable, funny, like, dry sense of humor. I thought that was good, but then I felt like her energy was so different in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, from her personality in the book, I was like, this could be another character. Like, just the way she moved she navigated through the film. I was like,
it's very different.
Yeah.
Okay, for Jessie, I have Matthew McConaughey.
Ah, okay.
I feel like he could give that, like, rugged, like, you know, washed ashore, just survived desert island vibe. Yeah. I love him. Who'd you have for Jessie?
I had Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, that's so good, actually.
Because I feel like he was very charismatic, but also I felt, and we'll talk about this later, but, like, I felt like there was some issues that I had with him, and I think that Jake Gyllenhaal could play a character with those kinds of issues and do a good job.
No, I'm actually shook. We're so opposite. I can already tell. No.
No. So, please.
I'm cracking up. Okay, Sam. For Sam, this is a funny, I kind of left field one, but I could not. He was the first person that I, like, immediately envisioned in my mind as I was reading. And even though he needs to age up because this guy's too young to play Sam, Cam from The Summer I Turned Pretty, David Icano. I'll show you a picture.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. He could do it.
It's more like his personality in Summer I Turned Pretty, or he's just, like, such a sweet, like, best friend kind of guy.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Are you ready for mine?
I'm ready.
Miles Teller. Because he's also a musician. And Miles Teller was in that one movie where he's, like, a drummer and he's done musician type stuff. So I felt like it made sense. Like, I love him.
I like that. I think you're giving Sam too much credit, though.
Whoa. I can already see you're going down a very dark path. We're going to have some issues, so.
Okay. Is that everyone you want to cast?
You are not okay.
Do you have anyone else? Do you want to move on to the first question?
Oh, for Olive, I had Aquafina.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, I love that.
Literally perfect.
I literally forgot about Olive because she wasn't in the movie, which is so sad. She should have definitely been in the movie. Moving on to the first question, which I already know we're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Team Jessie or Team Sam? I'm Team Jessie. I'm Team Jessie all the way.
Okay, look. This is my thing. So, when I was reading the book, I could not deal with Jessie. The book... Oh my gosh, girl.
Why?
Because, so, like, I felt in the movie, seeing how that scene played out was, like, less painful to watch, which I thought was interesting because I didn't enjoy the movie. But I was like, okay, I like him more in the movie. But, like, when they initially have, like, their first not like their first like meetup at the police station after the party.
In high school.
Like, yeah, in high school. I felt like that whole conversation where she's like, oh, well, I did like you in the past. And then he's like, but you don't like me now? And she's like, no, do you? And he's like, well, as of like 30 minutes. And she's like, oh, well, I like you too then. And it's just like the whole thing made me want to crawl out of my skin. I just felt like that was the beginning of so many more conversations throughout the book up until like he gets lost, that I just felt like everything he was saying painted him as like he's just fishing for validation constantly, and he doesn't really express his feelings to her unless she's the first to express the feelings. And he keeps giving her these vague compliments like, you're different. And it's like, do you even know what that means? Like, what are you trying to say? Like, he's never able to articulate anything meaningful to her. And she's clinging onto literal breadcrumbs. Like, he's breadcrumbing her. And she thinks it's like the best thing ever because she's kind of like the nerd and he's like the hottie. And he knows that. And so I think that, I don't know, like he just is trying to shield himself from getting rejected in any way. So he doesn't like go deep with her at all. And he's like, oh, do you like me? And then just does total like indirects constantly to kind of gauge her interest, and then not take the emotional risk whatsoever by being upfront about how he feels. And he already knows that like she's obsessed with him. So he knows, like, I think he's like using her for the validation. Like when you know that someone likes you and you flirt with them, even though you have no interest to be with them, it's like kind of selfish. And I think he does that too far to the point where he ends up in a relationship with her and he's like, oh, well, now I like her, you know? But like the beginning of it, just, it was so giving like immature. And I get it. They were in high school. But it continued until he got lost. And then I didn't see any sort of, like, I didn't see him evolve until he came back.
I didn't get that at all. I'm like, did we read the same book?
Did you see that scene?
Yeah. But it came across to me as, okay, he's this, like, high school jock. He's got a lot going on. He's so focused on swimming. Like, he's just, his parents are, like, pressuring him so much. I did not get the feeling at all that he, like, needed validation and stuff. I thought he was just, like, aloof, popular guy and this random girl who's not part of his friend group at all. Just, like, they finally connected. And I was like, oh, yeah, you are cute. Like, I like you. I did not read into any of that. I don't know.
I could not deal with
it. But also,
him.
I don't take, like, I genuinely do not like reading about people when they're in high school, so I might have just kind of tuned out a little bit, like, because I just am just like, this is so irrelevant. I literally don't care about what you did in high school. Yeah. You're not the same person. This doesn't really inform anything about you to me, because I don't know, it just seems so irrelevant to me. Mm-hmm. Apart from the fact that, okay, this was her, like, dream high school crush. She had him on a pedestal, and then it's, like, the best friend from the bookstore that, like, she kind of likes, but he likes her more, and then so she, like, chases the Jessie crush. Like, I don't know, like, that was kind of, obviously it's relevant because the way that they all end up together, like, she ends up with, like, 2 of her high school sweethearts basically. But I don't know, I was just, like, trying to get through the high school scene so that we could move forward with the story. But I did not catch on to any of that. That's so crazy.
I feel like that tainted my experience. And then the fact that, like, he basically, like, he was, like, such a bad influence, I feel like they meet in jail, like, in the police station, and they're handcuffed because, like, I was like, what are you doing?
But they were both at the same party. It's not like he forced her to go to the party. They just they happened to get caught together.
Later on in the book, once he comes back, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to drive without a license. And she's like, don't do it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. He does it, gets caught by the police, and then, again, like, putting her in a bad situation. And that was, like, a whole issue that was highlighted, that he always wanted to, like, push the boundaries. And she didn't feel comfortable with that, but she always ended up wrapped up in like these dramas because of him. And then she's reflecting back and she's like, with Sam, I don't feel that way. I don't feel like he's like pushing me to be this other person. And like he accepts that I'm like a grown up, like I've grown up and I have these new thoughts and opinions. And then he's not trying to grow up. He's like angry that she doesn't drink Diet Coke anymore. He's angry that she doesn't like drink whiskey or whatever. I don't know. There's like so many red flags. I was like, I can't. And I get it. He's gone through a lot. So I don't want to judge him too harshly. But so.
That's my whole thing, is that this man went through hell and back for this woman. Like, literally, you cannot fathom the horrors that he dealt with, being stuck on and thinking he's gonna die, and then he survived all that just because he's like such a freaking man. I was obsessed with him. Like, he's like, I literally love Jesse, and you cannot convince me otherwise. He was my favorite character in the book, and I'm shook that this is how you thought about him. He was a free spirit. I don't think that him like, I don't think him driving without a license, even though he literally fully knows how to drive, is a crazy thing. That's like so bad and bad to the bone. Like, he's just driving his girl. Like,
they were just giving us a sneak peek. They were giving us a sneak peek of like the issues.
There's no issues.
And they were like, look, this is a pattern.
No. Also, it's not her fault that literally, when she was in high school, they laid the foundation. She doesn't like the bookstore. She doesn't want to stay in Acton. She wants to travel the world. Her whole life is travel and leisure magazine. She's obsessed with like all this stuff, and naturally that's her personality before she met Jesse. So then when she meets Jesse and he wants to do all the same things, it's like, you guys are perfect. Let's go do that. That's what they did. Of course, after all the trauma and she comes back to Acton, her life, her like desires and her personality changes a lot, because she's like, I need to be with my family because they're my support system because of what I went through. So then she changes, and that is obviously confusing to Jesse, because he's like, you're not the same girl. She's like, yeah, because my husband died, basically. So like, I get why he was frustrated with her and trying to change her, because that literally was not her, their entire relationship, and he knew her since literal high school. So to me, that was just like very unfortunate, and I feel like she should have just tried harder to like make him see her way of life. Or go to counseling, go on more dates, go to freaking counseling, make him talk about what he's been through, because he obviously needs to deal with it. But
they
him
were
just, like,
two different people at that point. That was like the whole moral of the book.
He was, because he went through a lot, but he like wanted all the same
He was
things.
Emotionally stunted, and at the end of the book, so
okay, we'll give him a chance. He got back 2 seconds ago.
No, he
got back 2 seconds ago, and they want him to be perfect angel man, where he hasn't even been to counseling yet. No one's even mentioned counseling.
He needed to go to counseling, and I think he didn't. But like, he gets a new girlfriend at the end, and he calls her, and he's like, "Look, you were right." Like, yeah. And I think that shows that I'm correct. Like, this man was stunted, and he needed to process, and he wasn't processing anything.
I agree with how it all played out. Like, and it happened the way that it was supposed to happen. Like, I don't think she should have ended up with Jesse, but I don't think it's Jesse's fault that she changed. Like, apart from him going on this trip, not knowing he was gonna friggin' get lost at sea.
Yeah, no, it wasn't his
years.
fault that she changed.
Yeah. And it's honestly
it's
not her fault that she changed. She has to like heal, and that was her way of healing and stuff. But it is a little crazy that like her whole life was, you know, traveling. She fell into this writing thing. She loved it so much, and then it's all of a sudden cutting that part off like completely. Not only did she lose her husband, but she now has lost her entire personality, and she's got a new personality now. It's like, feel extra bad for Jesse, because like, he thought he was finally gonna come home to his woman, and now she's literally like not the same at all, and that is so much
grief
extra.
Does that to you?
Depressing.
Like, grief, some major milestones in life, like when you have a baby sometimes, or you get married, or you get divorced, or like all these major milestones, like,
yeah,
I think make you kind of realize who your true friends are, what your values maybe are. Like, are you aligned with what you want in life, your purpose? Like, people like come out of these milestones and realize that they want to change the way they're living, whatever. And so I understand how like the grief of losing him kind of made her completely shift and realize like, maybe the way that I was when I was a kid and I was trying to run away from my sister because I had all these issues, and run away from my family because I didn't want them to force me into this life of like being a bookseller's daughter that I don't want. And maybe I should embrace it for a little bit because they're the only people I have. I think she realized like she didn't have anyone. If she continued living this life, she was going to have to do it alone or find another partner. And so I think that like solitude made her realize, what am I doing? Like running away from the people that love me the most. And then she started hanging out with her sister and the brother-in-law and her new niece and like all these things that she had never leaned into before. And I think she was like, now that he's back, like she realizes the value and the importance there. And she was like, I don't want to let this go. So I also get it.
I totally get it. And that's so natural and like makes sense. To me, it just seemed like there was no trying whatsoever to make it work once Jesse got back. It was like, oh, like I think I still love him because he's still Jesse. But then it was like the second that it became clear that he was super unhappy about staying in Acton and whatever, that was like, okay, goodbye. They couldn't have tried to like, okay, well, let's live in Acton and maybe we could travel like every couple of months. We'll do a big trip or something like that. I don't know. There was like no trying to find any kind of middle ground.
Too.
And I guess
they
it's
didn't
because
have time to do that because of Sam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have time because he was kind of like, are we breaking up? Are we postponing our marriage? Like, what are we doing? You're going to move out. I'm going to move out. Like, I think she had this pressure of like, I have to make a decision because I can't keep these two men like waiting on me. So that is an interesting point that you bring up. Like they couldn't really work on it or mend or go to counseling or see because
I think Jesse deserved, if it was me, not to jump ahead to the next question, whenever the next questions are, I would have said goodbye, Sam, immediately. Like, this is my husband. You were just like a fiance. This is my husband. He's back from the dead. And he was the love of my life. We had no problems before he went missing. It wasn't like they had a rocky, weird relationship. Like, they literally loved each other so much. And I would have said goodbye. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it work with Jesse. And if eventually it doesn't work out with Jesse because you guys are so different, then, like, cross that bridge when it gets to it. But it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go with Sam because I don't think it's going to work with Jesse. Because even though you haven't even tried.
I like that what the sister brought up, though, because that is also a huge point to discuss. That it wasn't even her like deciding between like, do I like Jesse more or and this other life with him, or do I like Sam, or like who's better for me, but really like who do you like who you are with these people and what version of yourself, which is also true. And I think she realized like that the version she was with Sam is like who she wanted to continue being. And so I think when she was being that version, when they get to the cabin, her and Jesse, and she kind of realizes like, oh, everything I'm doing, he's like questioning, he's kind of angry and upset, like there's a lot of resentment about all the changes, or he just doesn't want to talk about it and wants to like act as if nothing's happening. Whereas, and I think too that kind of goes at the therapy piece, like she wanted to mend things and she wanted to have conversations, and none of like they wouldn't conversate because he didn't let her. He like didn't want to talk about anything. He'd get like visibly upset whenever she'd like mentioned his like amputated finger or the scars. Like he didn't.
That was really frustrating.
Yeah, that was frustrating too, because it's like, how do you expect to have gone through all this trauma 4 years apart and then we're not going to talk about it? And so she would talk about what's changed in her life and he didn't. Like he wouldn't reciprocate.
That's what bothered me so much, is like the second that they reunite, he's like, look, we're going to talk about this once and that's it. She should have been like, absolutely not. You're going to need to work through this stuff. Like,
I was
she should never have agreed to be like, okay, perfect. Just tell me 2 sentences about what happened and we're moving on. That was
and
so
if
stupid.
you're not okay with that, okay, then this is not going to work, because then I'm the only one that's making an effort and you don't want to try with me. So I think it would have been a smoother ending to the relationship if she would have expressed like, we need to work through these things. We need to go to counseling. We need to talk in depth about this. And if you can't handle that, then it's not going to work. Right? No. I don't know.
Emma to me was like somehow the most boring character ever, but also the messiest. Like she just like, let's just go sleep with my husband. And then also like, you know, I'm still telling Sam that she loves him so much every 2 seconds. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Like, take a little bit of space.
Well, that was her fiance too. Like 4 years passed.
But then she goes and sleeps with her, with Jesse. Like, it was so unnecessary. She's like, I just needed to.
That was gonna happen.
What was the reason?
We knew that was gonna happen. Like
Of course,
4 years with a fiance is a long time. Like her loyalty was with Sam. Like
no, but in the book it was not that long. In the book
no,
it was
it
like
wasn't.
2.5 years.
It was like 2.5 because I
Yeah.
remember when we
In
were
the movie,
watching,
they
my mom
changed
was
it.
like, "How much time has passed?" And I was like, "I think like 2 to 3 years." And in the movie, they were like 4.
Yeah.
Either way,
Which made it a little more palatable for me. I'm like waiting literally. I think she only waited like a year and a half until she was dating Sam, because then they were engaged. Like, and Jesse came back 2.5 years after, right? I think. Anyway, it was all very fast for me. I was like, you know how fast a year feels these days? I'm just like,
yeah.
your husband's gone and then you're immediately changing your name and getting a new fiance.
Oh, can we
Not to
talk
judge,
about
but
the
it's
name
just,
change?
I cannot fathom it.
Can we
Yeah.
talk about the name change? What did you think about that?
I thought it was just so sad. Like, you have zero proof that your husband is dead. Zero. And you're just going to change your name? Like, I understand wanting to represent. You're like, you know, very proud of your family's bookstore and like you work, you know, you're running it now. So being a Blair is important. If it wasn't for the bookstore, I'd be like, girl, you're literally nuts. Changing it so soon.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to get remarried, then I get it. But like just for fun, just to change back, like why? Apart from the bookstore.
I thought there was some major identity problems when I read about the name change, and I was like, oh, I think this is playing a major part in all of this decision making, because I was like, if you're grieving your husband, the last thing you're going to do is change your last name because he passed and you need to find yourself.
You would love to hold on to that piece of him,
You would
right?
love to hold on to, because that's the only thing you have left. Like, I thought that was strange. And I also picked up the fact, and I wanted to ask you, I was like, am I crazy or is this what happened? When she goes to reunite with Jesse, she chooses to wear the engagement ring that Sam gave her, right? In the movie, she doesn't. In the movie, she takes them off and she goes with no ring. I thought that was such a savage choice. I was like, talk about taking care of someone's heart and treasuring them. And it's like, what you're doing is not taking care of someone's feelings. Like, give yourself the chance to explain to him what's going on, to say like, look, this is what happened in the past 2 years. I'm engaged. Like, give yourself some time. He's going to get out of the Navy SEALs raft that they saved him on and see your big engagement ring from another guy, and that's how you're going to welcome him home. I was like, that is such a crazy, just like thoughtless, careless thing to do. And I thought the movie did a better, more realistic job with that decision.
Yeah. No, that encapsulates like why Emma was not for me. Like, she just was so like I didn't like anything she did. Like, I was just so disappointed with all of her choices.
That was
She
crazy.
just was like so messy.
I was okay with her. I didn't think she was that messy. I feel like all the Daphnes and maybe our other books we've read like really set the bar high for messiness.
True.
So I wasn't like, the situation was pretty crazy and chaotic. So I couldn't judge her too much for a lot of it. Like, I was like, she's in deep grief. Like, I get it. But girl, you're really going to wear the engagement ring to your reunion? And you're also with your ex current in-laws? Like,
yeah.
There was a lot of tension there.
Very bizarre. But it seemed like Jesse already knew about the engagement. Maybe he saw online or like, who knows. But in the book, he was not surprised. In the movie, he was like, had the fakest, worst acting I've ever seen when he was like, what? You're engaged? It was so cringy. It was really painful to watch.
I really enjoyed in the book the way when they had their reunion and she's telling him this stuff. I think they were in the car. It was kind of funny, and they're like laughing and crying, and the way that it read was very like, I feel realistic to like how crazy that would be if you're like reunite with your husband and you have to tell him you're engaged, and it's like funny, ridiculous, stupid, but also like, what? Like, no. I thought that was kind of, I liked it.
It would only be funny if like she was like, yeah, and like, forget him. I'm not gonna marry this random fiance that I got engaged to.
Like, they're like laughing but also crying. I thought it was good. I thought that was the best way to got about
it was pretty good. I liked the scene in the movie better, the reunion, where like he comes out of the plane or whatever and he like busts out and just kisses her. And like
Yes.
the news was like right there, and then Sam saw that on TV. That was so crazy. I liked that better than the book.
Yeah, because I was
The
like,
book
this
was
is
a little
realistic.
anticlimactic. Yeah.
They didn't kiss for a while, and I was like, this is
In
your
the car.
husband that you haven't seen in years. Like, you're not going to kiss him immediately? You don't think he's going to try to kiss you immediately? Like, let's be real.
Totally. I liked how it was better in the movie. That was like the one thing that I liked better in the movie.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you think about Sam's little like music class and all the students and him just like making a fool of himself in front of the class?
I have to scroll down to my movie notes.
We can save it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's save it for movie notes.
Yeah.
Let's get back to discussion questions. Discuss young Emma compared to older Emma. Do you think she would have always changed, or do you think Jesse's disappearance causes the big shift in who she became? I feel like we've touched on this a lot, but like overall, what do you think? Even if Jesse had stayed, do you think she would have eventually wanted to go back to Acton and like be closer with her family and all that?
I feel like we changed so much from high school to their 30s. We changed so much. So I feel like, yeah, I'm sure there would have been changes, but I also think it would have been really hard for her to go back to Acton when this was like their lifestyle, kind of being like nomadic, and she had her travel vlog, and that's how they were making an income, I suppose. So I think if that never would have stopped and she wouldn't have gotten to see this different life, I don't think like the opportunity would ever come for her to think, maybe I should like stay home. Because she would, I'm sure eventually she would visit and stuff, but I don't think she would have actually gone back to live. I mean, maybe their life would have settled down eventually, but I don't know if they would have settled back in Acton if it weren't for the loss where she really needed her family.
I feel like I agree with that completely. Like, people grow into their 30s. You want to be closer to family usually, especially like once you start having kids and stuff. But like the shift was expedited because he went away. Also, who's to say that Jesse wouldn't have changed in the same direction that she did? You know what I mean? Like if they had just grown together and like grown up more. So yeah. Next question. Do you think Emma moved on too quickly? I think a little bit, yes. It's like so hard to say because I've obviously, thank God, never been through the situation and hopefully never will. But it did to me seem like a little quick. Like if there was confirmed death and we knew he was gone, confirmed, then it makes a little more sense to like, okay, we've got to get on with our lives at some point. But I think I would have held on a little longer, especially to the last name. And also, this is for book, because in the movie, he was missing for 4 years, which is like literally pretty much double the amount of time as the book. So that changes things a little bit. What do you think?
True. Agreed. I don't know. I feel like everybody moves on at like a different paces. But she, in the movie, it was more time. In the book, I think it still was a lot of time. I think eventually you have to pick yourself up and start like putting yourself back out there.
I get like getting your life
was crazy.
The name changing was crazy. I understand like getting your life back together and like trying to like let go of this sadness, but like jumping into a new relationship and finding new love within a year and a half. I don't know. I'm a little confused with the timelines. And I wish it was like a little more clear, because if it was actually 2.5 years before she started dating
like
again, like that's a good amount of time.
Okay.
Yeah. But she was engaged at 2.5 years. So I think she was like dating at 1.5 years. I don't know. Whatever.
But you also have
no
to think
idea
if
how
you're
I would
30 and you don't have kids.
And you want a family.
Like, yeah, you have to move on because eventually, and you want a family. So I don't think it was too quickly. I just think the name change was weird.
I just think like there was a chance he was alive, you know? And a year and a half is really fast for a chance of being alive. Like, give it 3 years. I don't know. I just have hope, you know?
Because eventually you think, like, if he's stranded at sea or he's, like, on an island or wherever he is, after a year with no connection to humanity, like, I imagine you start thinking like he's for sure dead because he doesn't.
I would need
have
to do
food,
the research.
I would
water.
He doesn't.
I would need to do the research of like, okay, how many people have been lost at sea and survived, and like how long were they gone for? Because it's a thing that happens.
Because
right?
he could be alive, but like after a year and a half, 2 years, it's like I don't think he's alive.
Anyway, next question. Emma has an impossible choice. Was going away with Jesse fair to Sam, or was this the best way for her to decide what to do? This is when she went away to Maine.
She needed that
Jesse.
time. She needed that time. Like, was it fair? I don't know. Like, you were, but it doesn't
not
really
fair,
matter.
But it's like, who cares?
Like, yeah, she needed the time away one-on-one to have a conversation, to have privacy.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think it was very sweet of Sam to say, like, you need to decide this for yourself. You need time.
Yeah.
Away from me to, like, get your head thinking straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was very
That's the thing. Like, I am Team Jesse because, like, I just feel like he deserves more loyalty and, like, more care. Not only because that's her husband, but because, like, what he went through. Like, it's just so much more traumatic. Sam is just, like, so sad for Sam. And he's such a good guy. Like, I actually really like him. But, like, he didn't go through anything. He would just be going through a breakup. Whereas Jesse went through losing his entire life for several years and surviving in this horrific conditions and then finally coming back. And then it's, like, his whole... It's just, I can't imagine, like, being so excited to get back to your life and you're a woman. And then it's just, like, nah. It's so messed up.
Yeah.
Anyway... Next question. If you were in Emma's shoes, how would you go about deciding on who to be with?
Gosh. I feel like reading the book, I was okay with the way that she decided because I feel like she was like, who am I now? And like, what does my gut tell me? And basically that's how she made her decision. And I think in that moment, if you feel more connected to one person, like that's how you're going to make the decision because you're not going to go with your husband when you think this other love that you have is what's more suitable for you in this phase of your life. You know,
It's so tough. I feel like why can't she be her new version of herself with Jesse, or at least try to be? It was like
because
not
he
even
wasn't
an option.
accepting of it whatsoever.
Yeah, but it was,
was
for like
frustrated.
They talked about it for a day and they were like, never mind, we can't do this. That's what I don't get.
He didn't want to talk to her. He didn't want anything.
He didn't like her haircut.
He didn't like her haircut. He was like being so immature.
Yeah.
I was like, boy, come on.
Jesse
and
needed
so I think
to
it's hard to work with
acclimate
that
for longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
He needed to
It's hard
acclimate for
to-
longer. He needed to go to counseling. He needed to work on himself, and then.
But
try
they
to
didn't
make
get the
marriage work.
time. Yeah, they
But
didn't
Sam
get the time.
couldn't have been waiting. But then that's the point.
Yeah.
That's where I'm just like, okay, well, sorry, Sam. Like, we can't wait. So I'm not just going to
And
choose
then
Sam
just risk
because...
that you're gonna lose Sam and go into and give it a hard try with your husband, and then you might not be able to get back with Sam. But
Yeah, well, then they're not. Neither are free her. Then I don't know.
I mean, it's complicated.
It's so complicated. I like to think that I would have tried everything possible to like make it work with Jesse and just been like, see you later, Sam. I got to try to figure this out. You can move on without me. This is my husband. I'm going to make it work with him. And then, yeah, I don't know. They just like didn't try hard enough. And I understand it's a book and there needed to be the time constraints and stuff. But I'm like, where's the counseling? Where's the actual going on dates? Where's the like forcing
That's a
each
great
other
question.
to like...
Where's
They didn't
the
even really
counseling?
fight. They just like had slight disagreements and they're like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. It's like, okay, are we 12? Like, sit down and figure it out.
Yeah.
There's a way forward. Moving on. In Sam's shoes, would you have been as understanding? I know. Like, I don't think I would have. I cannot imagine putting myself in Sam's shoes. He had it pretty bad.
He had it so bad. That was truly unfair. This
Yeah.
man comes back from the dead, takes your fiance away that you're literally so excited to build a life with.
It's so sad.
That was heartbreaking. And the fact that he's like he had the whole like trauma that it had happened to him before. They were like best friends throughout high
Yeah.
school, and then she ran off with Jesse, and then she became kind of, and she mentions it in the movie, like she was kind of a bad friend to him as soon as she got into this new relationship and ditched him.
Yeah.
And I love the scene in the book and the movie where he tells her like, I was crazy about you at 16 and I'm crazy about you now, and
Cute.
how that kind of like carries the whole thing. That I think a big part of this book, they spend a lot of time talking about how we can grow apart from people and from lifestyles and situations and like just growing apart. And I think Emma spent like in the beginning communicates to Sam that like she didn't understand what it was like. Like, how could you grow apart from someone? I don't understand. Like, I never grew apart from my husband, and my husband and I met when we were 16. Like, she just, like couldn't comprehend how you could grow apart from someone. Whereas Sam had an ex-girlfriend where like things were great and then they just grew apart, and so she's kind of like confused. And then once Jesse comes back in her life, and she realizes, and they talk about it in the cabin, that they've truly like don't know each other anymore and they've grown apart. And so then she ends the book having like fully understood what that means. And I loved how they used that quote to kind of show that whether she was 16 and or 30, like Sam has always been consistent. Like he's always been interested in her, like in all her phases of life has always. So I think that was super telling about like the potential of the relationship and why she was so attached to the relationship and risked and left her husband for him, because she kind of, through all of life's obstacles, he was like there for her and was not growing apart, was like growing with her
Yeah.
with all the changes. And I liked that. I thought that was a clever way
I like that
to
too.
do it.
I think I don't know if they did it in the book too, but in the movie at the end, he was like, "I'll love every version of you," and I was like, "That's really nice."
Yeah.
It was nice. Yeah, I agree. As much, yeah, I don't know. My thoughts are all over the place now, because like Jessie should have been able to love every version of her too, being like, "I don't care where we're gonna live. Like, you're the love of my life. I'll live wherever you want to live." Especially like coming back from where he was, it's kind of like you don't just want to settle in
100%.
any normal life.
Anywhere.
Like, how does that not sound good? Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Maybe I'm
interesting
coming
when
around.
you say that. Yeah, like I thought that he was just, but then I go back to he was traumatized. He's been through a lot. He didn't have time to like adapt. In the movie they
Yeah.
show like they throw him in front of his house with a million like news network anchors and paparazzi in his face, and just like
Yeah.
he was treated very carelessly by his family. His
Yeah.
mom and dad were just kind of like, show your face to the public, we want you to see the whole family. Like they weren't sensitive to what his needs are. And I think that like if people were more sensitive to his transition back to civilian life, like I think things would have been maybe different. But I loved Sam. I just loved there's a line too where he says that like loving her was familiar territory, and that he picked it back up like riding a bike.
Oh,
I was just like,
that's
oh my gosh. Like it's true. Like he really was such a source of strength and consistency and reliability to her. And I think that was also a huge draw when she felt like she didn't have that in her previous relationship.
I was gonna say something I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Just Jessie was just like wanting to snap back into the life as it was before, which is kind of crazy, but also like if you're out there on the desert island, that's all you know was what your life was before. So it's like that's what he was envisioning the whole time, was like coming back to this beautiful life that I had that I loved. So I get how that's like, okay, we have to like fully reframe what you thought your life was going to be. But anyway, I guess Jesse does have his problems.
I'm telling you.
Favorite quote of the book? You share, because I don't know why, like, it's not like nothing stuck out to me, but I just, like, wasn't in the mindset of, like, writing down quotes, and I feel like I have been like that the last several books, but you always come through with quotes, so.
I have quite a few quotes. But the biggest, my favorite one, I put best quote in all caps was, "Did you kiss him? It's funny, isn't it? So often men see betrayal and what you've done instead of how you feel."
Yes.
So
That
good.
actually, yeah, I remember that.
I read that and I just thought it was so real. Like, so, like, I feel like men, at least in my experience, like, I think that's always like well, did you kiss him? Well, did something happen? Well, what, like, and it's like,
That's not the point.
that's not the point. Like, that's not the point. And even if we did, like, there was so much more, you know? And that's literally this. Like, it was like, it was a whole emotional thing. I feel like there's more betrayal in an emotional affair than there is in a kiss sometimes. But
Yeah.
I love that quote. I thought it was very,
That's so good.
very good.
I feel like I came in so hot at the beginning, being like, this book was so dramatic. Like, it is so dramatic because it's a crazy dramatic storyline and plot. Something about, okay, I'll tell you what I did not like. It's not quote verbatim because I didn't write it down, but this metaphor of getting her ears pierced, and like, I hated that. I just was just like, girly.
I have
we
it in my quotes list.
No. I could not connect with the writing of it, like the style of the dramatics. And I understand we want to read drama and stuff, but like for some reason, something about it was just really cringing me out. And I'm like, we're not trying to equate breaking up with your husband who was lost at sea, who came back from the dead, who now you just don't connect with anymore because you grew apart, to getting your ears pierced. Like, give me a freaking break.
No, but she mentions it too. Like, she mentions it when she's getting out of the car, like the last conversation she has driving back from the cabin, where
it was like the climax of the story,
she
and I'm
knows
just
that
like,
she's
we're
gonna
not getting our
leave
ears pierced.
him, that they decided it's over, like this is not gonna work, and now they're just like friends, and they're like having to drive home knowing that it's like all done, and she just feels like, what is it, like a pit the entire ride. And I was like, I know the feeling, like when you know that it's not working anymore and you just have a pit, and then you know, like, this is going to be so painful, but after I do it, like, we're both going to be liberated, you know? And it's like when you're anticipating getting your ears pierced and you're like, this is going to hurt so bad, but like at the end of the day, the pain's going to be worth it. She's a genius. She's a masterpiece. It was a literary work of art. I loved it. Wait, I have another quote real quick. This is the last one because it's so good. She says, "I'm the past and she's the present. I think you forsake the people you loved before just a little bit when you love again, but it doesn't erase anything. It doesn't change what you had. You don't leave it so far behind that you can't instantly remember, that you can't pick it up like a book you read long ago and remember what you felt then."
It's just so many words. Like, I can't, like, connect.
So I can't.
I don't know what it is.
Have you ever
usually,
broken up with someone?
like, not since high school, and like, he was so stupid.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No, I was like, good riddance.
Maybe that's the disconnect. Like, you didn't have a breakup that wasn't like a terrible breakup. Because sometimes like good, like breakups where it's not like someone did something crazy, it just like you grew apart, are like very painful, you know? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the disconnect.
I don't know. I think it's a pregnancy hormonal thing that I just like, because I feel like any other time this book would hit so hard for me. And I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Like, I read Daisy Jones and the Six. I read Evelyn Hugo. I've like really enjoyed her books, and they have been more emotional to me than this book, which has a way more emotional, heavy storyline. So I don't know. I think I'm just going through something hormonal right now. Everybody, please don't take me so seriously in this episode.
No, people might agree. I am interested to see.
I wish that if I had read this on my Kindle, it might have felt different. I feel like reading really dramatic quotes and like really intensely emotional quotes hits harder for me than listening to them. I just like take it more seriously. For something about it like goes deeper into my soul when I'm reading on the Kindle. So maybe I would have been different. And I wish that I had read it on my Kindle, because I would have been like highlighting all like the cheesy stuff that I want to like show
Yeah.
as like my proof of why I thought the writing was like a little crazy in this. But anyway, I'm just glad TJR kept writing, because I feel like her writing has come on leaps and bounds since this book. Like, not that this was bad writing, it was just like so extra, just like extra. Like, there was just so many extra sentences and words that were just like trying so hard to hit the emotions that I was like, you're trying too hard. I think that's what I felt. It felt too try hard to me. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
You're making sense.
anyway, next question. Was the ending satisfying? If so, why? Or why
I
not?
was happy with the book ending. I was
Yeah.
happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was satisfying.
I understood how it all played out. I was, obviously I'm Team Jessie, but I understand why it all played out the way it did. And yeah, I was happy with it. I was fine with it.
Yeah.
I did like how Jessie ended up with a surfer girl, and that they were
Yeah.
still friends and like stayed connected, because that like,
Yeah.
I feel like that was nice. Did you have a favorite scene?
I really like the scene where they're on the date, on the first date, her and Sam. The scene that you didn't like.
Yeah.
I love that. I felt like they just had a lot of great conversations on that date, and the way the conversations were captured and written, I loved. I just thought it was so natural and felt like I didn't cringe for once reading a first date story.
Okay.
And I think it revealed a lot of great like insight into Sam. Like, I felt like I was very connected to him after that. And yeah, I loved there were so many quotes. It was so good.
I'm looking at my notes because I forgot to like open my notes. I forgot that I took notes on the book as I was going, as well as the movie. I forgot about that completely.
Yeah.
For the first date scene, I said, so cringed by the first date scene, her and Sam playing fake piano at the bar. Did not enjoy.
Did not enjoy.
I can't believe we had such a different experiences of
Experience.
that scene. That's so crazy. And then whenever they started playing piano at the bookstore counter, I was just like, no, they're not doing this to me again. Let's talk about the movie adaptation.
I have a few things that I just want to throw at you, and then I want to hear your thoughts on what I said.
Can't wait.
So first of all, let's talk about casting and the character portrayals. The casting for the younger versions of the characters I thought was spot on. Like, the young actors matched the adult counterparts perfectly.
Yeah, that
and
was
so it
kinda
made
crazy.
the transitions feel like seamless. It was really believable. It wasn't like the what is it, like Renesmee, where they like used AI for the face and you're like, what is going on? It's a distraction. Like, no, this was beautiful, and I was shocked at how much they looked alike. When I was reading the book, I, aside from casting Jake Gyllenhaal as my Jesse, in my head I originally thought the way I see Jesse is Aiden from Sex and the City, Carrie Bradshaw's like gorgeous stunning boyfriend. And but I was like, he's too old right now for this role, so I'm not even gonna bring him up. But ironically, the character they cast in the movie, I felt like had such a similar vibe and really resembles
Totally.
the guy that plays Aiden in
Yeah.
Sex and the City.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you think about the casting?
I mean, I didn't hate it. Like, I thought Sam was a nice casting. I thought Emma was just so different. Like, she just wasn't what I expected at all. Not that I disliked her. Like, I thought she was not, like, let it be known. The acting for everybody, in my opinion, was terrible. Except for maybe Sam. I feel like Sam was an okay actor. I didn't like the casting for that reason. But, like, looks-wise, and vibe-wise, I was, like, okay with it. Apart from Emma being so different. Like, she should have been a blonde pixie cut girly. They gave her, like, a pixie-ish cut for high school. And then they gave her long hair as an adult, which I thought was weird.
That was so
swapped
weird.
it. Yeah.
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 That was
and they
weird.
didn't make her look different. Like, when her and Sam got married, her and Jesse got married, she looked exactly the same as whenever he got back. Whereas that was, like, such a big thing in the book, was that when they got married, she was, like, had long hair and, whatever, gorgeous. And then he comes back and she's, like, got a short blonde pixie cut and like looks completely different. So that was kind of weird that wasn't in the book at all. Like the main thing in the movie. The main thing in the movie that changed about her was that she didn't drink Pepsi anymore and she didn't eat cheese anymore. And that was like her big character traits that changed and running the bookstore. So that was kind of funny.
I mentioned it earlier that the jail scene felt less cringy in the movie than it read. And I think that there was like huge differences in the way that Jesse's character came across in the movie. It made me root for him so much more in the movie. And that's where I started like liking him and thinking about him in the book and kind of questioning some of my thoughts, because I was like, maybe I was a little too harsh, just because he felt so much more self-serving in the book. And like, I felt like he was using Emma to validate himself and kind of treated her like she's an easy target, which made me have a really hard time sympathizing with him. In the movie, though, he was a lot more likable. I felt like his actions still had like a lot of edge to them, like in the book. But I feel like he had more depth. He was like more vulnerable. And I kind of understood his motivations a bit more. So I wasn't, even though I didn't fully agree with everything, like I was more on board with the movie version. Yeah. What did you think about that?
I don't know. I liked him in the book more.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Not necessarily in high school. I didn't pay that much attention to them in high school, honestly. But we just got more of him and their relationship and their dynamic in the book than we got in the movie. So the movie, he felt very one-dimensional, as did pretty much all the characters in the movie. It felt very one-dimensional. And like, if I hadn't read the book, I would be like, what is this weird movie? Like, it just felt so incomplete. So
I think a lot of that in my head, I was trying to figure out like, why does this feel like so one-dimensional? And I felt like
so
there was
jumpy.
It felt so jumpy, and I think that, so I wrote down like pacing. I felt like that was a big issue in this movie as to why I was like so disconnected from everyone in it. One thing I didn't like is that they skipped the breakfast dates. When she and Jesse first reunite, there was like a series of breakfast dates at 7 a.m. like before going to work, and before Maine, like them trying to get to know each other, like without Sam being like, oh my gosh, you're stealing my girl, because she would do it super early. So I understood why she started with that, and I felt like it was a more natural progression to like, we need more time than an hour every morning, like let's go to Maine. But like, for the sake of pacing, I get why there wasn't that like buildup of dates before they went to the cabin. So I get why they made that decision. But it just, because if they would have done all these small meetups, it would have taken up too much time. So I think it worked well, them just skipping to the cabin. But I think also like we lost a lot of time where we could have gotten to know Jesse more. The movie also had like this crazy Hallmarky feel to it. There was a line that I highlighted that said, my part was to get back to you. Your part was to wait. What did you do? Like, it was so dramatic.
Yeah.
It was so dramatic. I think it worked. Like, it worked. Because the scene in the cabin where they're fighting, like, I felt it. But I felt like that scene in the book had like so much more complexities. Like, they mentioned so many differences in the book that were never mentioned in the movie. And I was like, someone who's watching this film, like, is just like, oh, they're breaking up for what? Because they can't agree because she has this new boyfriend. But it's not just the new boyfriend. Like, there was so many differences that they highlight in the book that they just never talk about in the movie.
I feel like the main differences was like, she wants to live in Acton now. That's the biggest thing of why he couldn't be on board and date her again. And then she likes to read books, and she doesn't drink Pepsi and have cheese. Like, those were it. Like, I don't know what else changed about her. I mean, that's pretty big, that like her changing her whole lifestyle to now be running a bookstore instead of being a travel writer.
It's her whole life. Changed. Well, I wrote that like she uses like the Diet Coke or whatever.
She had the same personality. Like, they still had a chemistry, and they still like were very connected, like sexually, and like they felt the same to each other. She was like, she still had the same love. Like, when she immediately saw him, she wasn't just like, oh, that's a stranger. She's like, that's my Jesse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
going back to the book, but
the movie though, I realized, I was like, what else feels off? Like the movie focused more on the reading of the letter, and that's how it was like giving us the story arc. It's like her reading the letter and then them using that as like getting from point A to B. And then they also focused on the community that Emma built along the way. Like they focused so much on the sister and the brother-in-law and like the family, the mom and dad. Whereas like the book was more on like the couple and the changes. And like, I think that had so much more emotional weight. And like them just focusing on like reading of the letter and the community she built in Acton, and like the kids at the school where Sam worked, like all of that was like the community. But it's like them focusing on that took away from like the depth of like the couples, like the relationships.
Did your mom watch the whole movie with you?
Yeah, she did the whole time. I wrote a quote from my mom. She said, something big is going to happen, right? Someone's going to die. The baby's really Jesse's. Something crazy is going to happen. There's going to be a car accident. And I was like, I wouldn't speak. I just wasn't speaking. But then there was a car accident and I flipped. I was like, this car accident was completely unnecessary. Honestly,
so
the book
weird.
had so much darkness, so much like emotional depth, and I feel like it worked like just like they worked so hard to make it so lighthearted. Like it was a comedy, and for what? It was a caricature of the book. Like
they were trying to make it a silly rom-com, and it's like this was not a silly rom-com in the book.
There was so much context. Why would you add in a car accident? And then it wasn't even to make it for the drama of it. They're like laughing on the side of the car, like, we love each other so much. We just had a car accident. I'm like, I rolled my eyes to the back of my head. I was screaming at the TV. It was so dumb. I have one last part that I have to mention because I need to know your thoughts on this.
Okay, please.
There was no finger amputation. They show the scars all over Jesse's back. There wasn't all over. It was like 2. Yeah. And there was no explanation of what happened on the island, of nothing. And all we got were a few shots of him with the jacket over his head, like looking dehydrated on the little inflatable boat. And that didn't even begin to convey the trauma that he went through. Yeah. So like, I guess because like he had this refusal to talk about it, that's what they were trying to portray by not talking about it in the movie. But then I was like, you left all of the audience that hasn't read the book completely confused about what actually went down and how traumatic it was. Yeah, the movie just skimmed over all of that entirely.
Even in the book, I wanted more of like his experience. Like I could have had a whole book from Jesse's perspective of like, I kind of want this book in Jesse's perspective, like everything he went through, coming back. You know what I mean? Like it would have been so interesting.
Part 2.
Yeah, and like so much more like suspenseful and crazy. No, I completely agree. They like did him so dirty with like acting like, oh, he just was on vacation for 4 years on an island. I have to say, what made the movie exponentially more painful and cheesy was the score, or like the soundtrack. Did you notice like how
it was so bad? I was like, this is horrid.
It was horrible.
There was no words.
I would have preferred just complete silence and just, we didn't need any music. If there was no music, it would have been 10,000 times better than them putting in that cheesy.
It was like they were trying to go for like this like 90s like vibey like 2000s movie.
It was constant. There wasn't any scenes without music behind them, which I feel like is not normal, right? Like sometimes you just need to let a scene just happen naturally with
just give us like
dialogue.
Instrumentals, like light.
No, even the instrumentals were horrible.
It was bad. It was horrible. So it was a distraction. It took me out of it
completely.
I was like, we are this close to a Hannah Montana, like, ooh, to get us to the next scene. I was like,
literally, that's what it felt like. It was so crazy. Okay, so that was one of my biggest things about the movie, and then, just Sam and his music class and the students. I like once we got towards the end, it actually got better. I feel like. But in the beginning, when he's like sitting there crying and like having tantrums in his class in front of the students, I'm like, this is so embarrassing. Like, you are so ridiculous and you're just making a fool of yourself. Like, I cannot take you seriously. You're not an eligible man, like, to date. Like, you're gross. I got the ick.
I loved the actor. I think he was the reason that I continued watching. It was for him and his performance.
Was funny. He was.
But they gave him a really hard, like, he carried the movie, and I think they tried to make it a comedy, and they used him as, like, the clown. And it made him really likable. Like, I was watching because of him, but I was also like, what is this movie? Like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I read. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, I already know your rating because you already told us at the very beginning, which I'm shook at. So your official rating is 5 stars.
My official rating is 5 stars, and my official movie rating is 0.
Perfect. I wish that I had gave the book a proper rating before I watched the movie, because I do feel like the movie sways my opinion a little bit. Like, just like meshing the two together in my brain, I'm like, that takes it down a peg, you know? But I think realistically, I would give this book like a 3.75. It's like almost a 4. Definitely a 4 on Goodreads. But yeah, for the sake of the podcast, 3.75. Like, I really enjoyed it. That's like not a bad rating at all. Like 3.5 is even a good rating. So it's like even a notch above a good rating. I just I just didn't feel the feels.
That's okay. That's okay. We need to bring some variety sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I wasn't pregnant, I wonder what my rating would be. If it would be different. It's weird because I am more emotional about certain things. Like, the hormones make me cry about like random stuff all the time. Anyway, that's my rating. The movie, I'll give it a 1 for entertainment.
Okay.
Our next book, our March book, is going to be The Favorites. So sorry. I got to pull it up because I actually don't know the author's name. Yeah. It's called The Favorites by Layne Fargo. I've never read anything from her before. It came out in January, so like kind of a new release. I feel like it's got some buzz. People are talking about it, and I've seen so many good reviews saying it's like super bingeable, super juicy drama, and it's not like a typical like rom-com, or I don't know. I feel like it'll be something a little different, a little fun. So that is what we're reading for March. That's going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. And we'll see you next month. Love you. Bye.